What's going on, Hail Stalkers? Lead meteorologist John Choquette here with a hoarse voice and pretty tired. I'm gonna be honest, guys. Taylor's not here. I'm here filling in. I'm not gonna be here tomorrow, and Taylor's not gonna be here tomorrow because it's all thunder here in Oklahoma City. Big win last night, winning those NBA Finals. Crazy night. But hey, still got the weather going on, so we're gonna break it down for you here, folks. We do have a chance for some storms today across the plains here, some hail, some gusty winds, maybe a tornado too, all possible across portions of the central and southern and northern plains. Tomorrow's a bigger story though. It looks like we could see some big hail across the Colorado Front Range, possibly as large as tennis ball size hail along that I-25 corridor. So we'll break that down for you here in the forecast. And otherwise, the big story is the heat. The heat dome is really starting to build in, especially out east. Here in Oklahoma City, gonna be in the low 90s. Back where I'm from in the Northeast, could be breaking 100 here next couple days. And unlike here in Oklahoma, you don't have central air in every single building across portions of the Northeast. So 100-degree weather in New York City does not sound fun in a crappy, technically studio apartment closet. So that's what we're going to be seeing there. So that overall severe outlook, again, this is what we're looking at for today across sections of the plains here and then up into the Great Lakes region. Tomorrow, it's a pretty big marginal risk, but that main focus, honestly, is just going to be over here in the slight risk region. I'll break that down for you. And then Wednesday, kind of the same deal of just, it's summertime, folks, and we got a lot of just general instability along the edge of the heat dome here. And hopefully you get some storms, especially in areas up north where it's gonna be unusually hot, possibly record-breaking heat. Those could really cool off temperatures a little bit if you get any storms with that. So let's break down what happened the last 24 hours or so. We had some storms way up here in the northern plains. A couple, just really, it's been real windy here the last couple of days. Some wind reports down here in the just general afternoon, thunder showers that pop up and blast out all their wind. I think that was an old tornado report. I don't think that was from that day. You know, got some storms through the evening hours across Alabama. You had storms out by New Mexico with gusty winds. And then the main story, the main storms that were happening that I was not paying attention to. Thankfully, the team, we got a lot of people here on the team. You have Joey here tomorrow. He's not a Thunder fan, so he'll be here. And we got plenty of members of the meteorology team that don't really care too much about the sports ball. So they knew what was going on. They were tracking everything. But for me, yeah, I got some storms up here, some hail, some gusty winds up in northern Nebraska. Not a huge deal. I had some real gusty, windy storm here that just barely missed the Amarillo area. And then in the late evening, overnight hours, you know, sorry whoever was on call, he had a big old squall line racing off to the northeast there in northern Minnesota, staying off to the west from Duluth. So I don't think there are too many people impacted by that, but still pretty gusty event there last 24 hours or so. And that's kind of what we're really going to be seeing here, probably similar today, just storms scattered around portions of the country, and that will have that potential for some big storms. For some more storm reports, primarily wind and hail. So currently, across the country, you just have a weak boundary layer here from east of Minneapolis, extending all the way south into the panhandle regions of Oklahoma and Texas. Generally cooler off to the west, generally much warmer off to the east, and this big old high down here by Atlanta that is causing a surge of warm air, and that heat dome is really starting to form here where temperatures are really going to be increasing. So overall, it's just some showers here across the Minneapolis area, nothing severe here. There's really nothing severe going on anywhere across the country. It's overall pretty quiet, just a couple showers here and there, but overall, it is a quiet start to the work week here in June. Temperatures are warm, and notice you can tell there's that weak cold front, 62 in Denver, and then 87 here in Oklahoma City. But look, it is warmer in New York right now, 93 degrees. It's warmer in New York City than it is in Miami, than it is in Atlanta, than it is in Los Angeles or Vegas or even Dallas or Houston. So it's got pretty warm up there in the Northeast, and that is just going to continue for the next few days here. Significant hail model shows for today, nothing too wild. That main risk area just kind of hanging out near that cold front. It's not moving too fast, it's not particularly strong. So you get that chance for some storms to kind of bubble up and possibly have some marginal severe hail, maybe a little bit bigger. You get a couple isolated storms to form, you could sneak out something, but notice how quickly that goes away once it gets dark. And then actually the significant hail model is starting to sniff out Tuesday as well for the Front Range region. Look at that, by 11 a.m., definitely could have some pretty big hail here from areas from about Rapid City all the way down to the probably around the Pueblo area of Colorado. But we'll talk about that more in a minute. So that forecast maximum hail size for today on June 23rd could get up to hen egg. And that's honestly, I just see that as you get a supercell that goes up and it's June, even if we have not the best forcing or potentially it's getting a little too warm, all that jazz, it's pretty easy to sneak out 2-inch hail. So I think that's very possible today with any initial storms that go up this afternoon. And where exactly is that going to be? Well, in the region here, we have anywhere in the orange, especially probably more towards the Albert Lee, Waterloo area. Oh, notice my thing got shifted. Look at that. So overall, moderate chance the Albert Lea area, just barely. Omaha, same idea. Low chance for Waterloo, Madison, Green Bay. I think these areas might have storms a little too clustered together to really have too much in the way of big hail. Further down to the south, though, could see some more isolated storms. If there's anywhere where you're going to see bigger than 2-inch hail, and surprises me, it's probably Kansas, but there's not a lot of folks out here. So moderate chance there in Hays, and then overall, nothing too crazy. I think the wind forecast as well is not going to be too crazy either. You get those gusty winds, pretty common here. I call June the windbag season because you get these storms that turn into a squall line really fast. And they blow out those 65, 70-mile-an-hour winds, what have you, pretty quickly here. You could see that anywhere here, Cedar Rapids, Omaha, Albert Lea, possibly as far east as Madison and Green Bay. It might be a little bit later on in the late night hours. Low chances kind of across the board all the way down south. Further south and west you get, the more isolated those storms are going to be and the more unlikely they are to impact these regions, which is why we got those low green or risk markers. And then finally that tornado risk, very narrow here for anywhere from about Scott City to Omaha up to Green Bay. Again, this is only for isolated supercells, and you may see 1, maybe 2 tornadoes today at most. Today doesn't really scream tornadoes too much, especially when you have a cold front as your main driver for storms, because a cold front, what we usually do is kind of undercut that inflow that you need for a big time tornado. So it doesn't look too crazy for today. Let me get this thing to push forward. I want to talk about tomorrow. That's like really the big thing here, but there we go. So there's that future radar for the rest of today. What we've been talking about here, you have those showers ongoing right now. And as we keep pushing forward here, you notice storms kind of erupt by about 4:30, clustered. The less clustered they are, the more likely they will be to have hail, but they cluster up real fast. By about 8:30, you got a big old squall line extending from about Green Bay and portions of Lake Michigan all the way south into Kansas. Mostly a wind threat at that point, not too much in the way of hail, and that will keep chugging along here. And by about midnight, things are just kind of a heavy rain, big rainmaker for all the cornfields out in Iowa. And then by tomorrow morning, yeah, things kind of wind down. Jumping down to the south here, kind of the same basic idea. Notice some storms trying to form in portions of eastern New Mexico and down into Mexico itself by later this afternoon. Some storms forming in the Texas Panhandle, possibly all the way up into the Oklahoma Panhandle. But notice they're not anything too crazy. I think, again, you get that burst of hail, you get bursts of gusty winds, and then the storms kind of peter out a little bit, especially anything that doesn't form along the front will really die down by the time the sun goes down this evening. And nothing too wild for today. Could have some decent rain over by El Paso at least. Can't say no to some rain in the desert, right? So by 7 a.m., again, things really have wound down. So looking at tomorrow, this is what has my attention here. We got that jumping right into that hail forecast for you guys. It's got the red here all the way from north of Cheyenne up to almost Casper, all the way down to about Pueblo. And there you go, we got those risk areas coming in here. Could be some pretty big hail. I'm going pretty aggressive with this. This looks very similar to a lot of things I've seen here since I've been at Hail Trace. Got storms, good forcing off of the Front Range. This screams hail. So saying moderate chance from Casper to Cheyenne to Pueblo. I'm going high for Denver. That's a whole I-25 corridor basically. I'm saying high from about Colorado Springs up to through north about Fort Collins. So that's a pretty major area here. Hail could get pretty big. Anything can be isolated. Obviously, Colorado can be a little fussy. You can sometimes have extremely high volume hail, so it's just only hail and it's a lot of P's to up to maybe some $50. Or alternatively, a lot of folks in Denver probably watching this know, you can get those storms that end up going with a tennis ball size hail, but also a crap ton of all the other hail. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for tomorrow. We'll be able to fine tune this more. Tomorrow I'll have the Timberwolves fan dealing with that tomorrow. And overall, chances are storms will form in the afternoon into the evening hours, possibly as far north as Rapid City, and they'll move off to the east throughout the day here. So that future radar, just giving you an idea of basic timeline when storms are going to move through by about 2:30 here. Notice got storms pretty much about to come off the mountains, Rocky Mountains, and come into the plains. And look at that, boom, big time storms blowing up here by about 4 o'clock Central Time. So that's 3 o'clock in Denver. Some storms moving through, possibly just in time for that after work commute. More storms through the evening, so we could have multiple rounds of storms. Again, this doesn't look anything unusual for Denver, right? Last handful of years, you guys have managed to get those rounds, multiple rounds of storms coming through, and they're all big time hail makers. So it really looks like we're gonna have good conditions for some big hail potentially tomorrow. So keep an eye. We'll be covering it. We'll be doing the forecast. I think the parade ends early enough where if something crazy goes down, we should be able to still do some live coverage. If Taylor's watching this, she's like, what? So, but we'll be covering this for you guys on Tuesday. Of course, Denver is a major market of ours. We're going to make sure we can cover all the potential hail for you there. But that's honestly, that's one of the biggest things we're looking at for this week overall. I think the heat dome's really going to start taking over here. And you can notice there's your cold front, right? Got those cooler temperatures right now. Notice how much warmer it is off to the east, and how if we do those departures from normal, we are well above average here from anywhere across the Great Lakes region, all the way up into the Northeast, all the way up into Canada even. Pretty normal here in Oklahoma, pretty normal in Texas, and even down in the deep south. But man, that heat dome is really kicking here. And by Tuesday, you know, we're getting close to 100 degrees, very likely across a lot of portions of the Northeast. And it starts to cool down a little bit, but still incredibly warm across the east. And that's going to help prevent a lot more severe weather. You have this big ridge here, the jet stream's way up in Canada. That's not going to allow for too much of the widespread severe weather that we've been seeing through May and April and even earlier this month. So things are probably starting to wind down a little bit here. And also, by the way, this heat, it's going to be real humid. So it's not, it feels no dry heat, blah, 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 whatever you guys hear talk about in Arizona. It is a humid, muggy, gross heat for a lot of the country here. It's summer. What are you going to expect? So extended outlook, again, through the rest of this week. It's going to be hot. That's the basic gist of it all. And then that 3-month average, I mean, it's looking like it's going to be pretty warm. Kind of set the stage here for hurricane season a little bit. Get that jet stream way up in Canada. It allows for tropical development to get close to the U.S. coast once we get into August. But that's a little while from now. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. I know it's a little different. I haven't done this in a minute, and it probably shows. So you can follow us on all your social media platforms. I've got my voice held out for this video. X, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all that fun stuff. Taylor's updating that stuff, and everybody here on the Hailtrace team updating it with all the cool stuff. Anything big happens, you'll be first to know if you follow us on our platforms. Give us a call, 855-334-4245. You want to sign up and find out more about us. You can email us as well, info@hailtrace.com. Visit our website as well, hailtrace.com. Hailtrace, pretty easy to find. I'm meteorologist John Choquette. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thunder up, and we'll see you tomorrow.